Hi everybody, welcome to another deep dive into CRM. My name is Bernard Kassab from Ucidity, and I have a special guest with us today, Jesus Fernandez from VIA. Jesus, thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure.
It definitely is. We're going to start off today. Give us a little bit of context around what VIA is. It's still in its incubation, I guess, and it's coming to life. Give us a little bit about what VIA is all about, and why you thought bringing in a CRM is important. Now, what I forgot to mention is we're going to be talking about a new kid on the block. So this CRM is called Streak. Jesus has explored it a lot, implemented it into his new business as it's developing, and has found it a very useful tool. So I thought it'd be cool to bring a new kid on the block to you guys and tell you a little bit more about Streak. So Jesus, tell us a bit more about VIA.
So basically, I'm in the leadership development industry. And I saw over the years that one of the biggest issues that companies are having is around the topic of strategic alignment. And so being a consultant and having done projects with different clients, I sort of figured out how to do it. It's all about creating a good visual for the strategy of the company. So normally you get people everybody has a little PowerPoints or documents here and there. And I sort of throw all of that out the window and say, no, we're gonna do it like the cavemen used to do it. We're gonna put it all in a wall, and it's gonna be we're gonna visualize the whole strategy together. And so I run retreats in order to do this. It takes around a week, but by the end of it, there's massive alignment that happens, not just by the participants that are there, but whatever we then put in the strategy wall, in the visualization wall, I then sort of bring it to the companies and create like a war room.
Cool.
And so that creates the alignment. You get people in there to see a whole strategy. And so being a new business, I was out there looking for CRM solutions. I've been in business for a while, and so I've gone with many companies that use Salesforce. I've seen HubSpot being used, or Insightly is another one that I saw being used. And I saw these big companies, they were paying a ton of money for a lot of functionality that for me I couldn't afford right now. And so researching, not only that, but I also, having been part of some of those companies and using these CRM systems, I found out that they need so much customization to work that unless you're a really big enterprise and you actually have a team dedicated to customize the CRM, what comes out of the box is too difficult to mold into what small to medium, I would say even up to 100 people. If you have less than 100, these CRMs are too complex to mold it to your needs. So I was looking for something different.
So that's what you would then say is unique about Streak then, right? So what did you find in Streak that really positions it differently to those kind of more seasoned players in the market?
Yeah. So for me, it was all about, I have to be nimble. I can't spend a lot of money because I don't have it right now. And so how could I, and it still needed to potentially scale, but I needed to be able to control it just me. And so the cool thing about Streak is if you like G Suite, if you like the Google suite of products, Streak actually lives within Gmail. So I'm already using Gmail. How efficient is it? I don't know if this happens to some of your clients, but sometimes you're on your email client, which you love, whether it's Outlook or Gmail or maybe Mail, and you sort of have to log out of your email client and log onto your CRM platform. And although they say that you can send emails through the CRM platform, you kind of don't like it as much. But I love Gmail, and almost every day I'm playing with Gmail. It's already all customized. So what I did is find out what CRM is the best that is within Gmail. That would allow me to scale and get because I'm getting a lot of just a lot of work right now. And so how can I manage all this work without it being a headache and another system on top?
So it's like you're not learning a new ecosystem. The ecosystem's actually integrated into your current ecosystem. That's pretty cool, because now you're not having to jump tabs or pages or stuff like that. You're all working within one place, a place that you recognize and you're very familiar with. That is quite different from any of the other platforms, because essentially they are a platform, like a standalone platform, and that does sit beside, not in one of the platforms you're using already. So then, have you heard anything about the CRM on the streets? Have you heard any kind of myths or anything that people are saying? Have you heard any kind of feedback about Streak before, or is this so new that people haven't really started to?
Well, I don't think it's new. Like, it was already there in 2016. But like with a lot of these apps, like they've slowly, like we get to hear about them when they're already
baked.
It's new for us, but they've been baked for a while. So I'd say it has most of the functionality that I've seen. Again, like any company with sort of like less than 100 people would need, you know. And I've had experiences in our company, and I'd say that it's got everything that you would hope for. But you know what I found really cool about it? They have the way that they think about CRM is maybe slightly different, and it's worth mentioning. So at the end of the day, what you have is you've got things happening in your business that have to happen with certain steps within a timeline, like a little project. So like you could say one client is in itself a project that starts from a lead and then it gets created to customer and then has a project. So it's like you have this little unit that is slowly passing through like a factory, right? It comes out at the other end, and if it does it well,
it's a new customer.
You get money for that. So what these guys have done is they say, well, instead of thinking about it as just customers or just let us create a functionality that allows you to customize what you think your process is. So I'll give you an example. They call it pipelines in Streak. And so what happens is you might have a lead pipeline, and it's within your lead pipeline, you have the names of your people, and there's different stages in that pipeline. But once that person is converted from a lead to a potential sale, you can create another pipeline, and that other pipeline has other stages, and then they become a customer. So you create another pipeline, and that pipeline has different stages. And the cool thing is that you can create as many pipelines as you want, and it's really customizable. So what's happened for me is I started to think about it more broadly, because there are other things in my company that run like a pipeline. So
there's like stages that somebody has to go through.
So it could be something like I'm just thinking about, could be like hiring. So you will have a hiring pipeline for your candidates, and so you can do that also within the CRM. Or you might have a project, and that this particular project is like a pipeline. And so I started to think that this CRM, and they know this, so like the way they've designed it, they do encourage you to use it for way more than just customers. They say, well, use it also for projects, use it also for when you have something important, like an important purchase goes through a pipeline. And they're like, okay, well then create the different items. And I really like that. I think it's more like anything that you do through like the Google Suite, it's so, if you're smart, you can really start to customize it exactly for what you need it to be, and that's what these guys have done there.
Yeah, cool. So it's like if you were to pick a new, let's say, accounting software, you could put that into a pipeline that is accounting software, and in there you could have all your research, and then you move it from the initial stage, which is like thinking, okay, we need this new thing, to a research stage, and from the research stage to a decision stage, decision to an implement stage, that kind of thing. So you could use it for internal processes as well as how you manage your sales and marketing processes.
Or like market research. Let's just say that you have your competitors, right? And then every 6 months you want to check them in, like see how they're doing. So then you create a pipeline that says competitors, and every 6 months you want to check their website, then you want to sending them an email, see how they react, and then that pipeline regenerates every 6 months. So there you go. So then each line item is one of your competitors, and then you just run it,
bring it all the way through. Cool.
And then the other thing is, throughout it allows you to really customize emails. So when you switch from one stage to another stage, it might automatically send them emails, send people emails, or so. I found it has everything I need.
So what about, so you mentioned it a couple times as well, business size. You kind of said that up to 100 odd people. Do you think that's where it probably sits best, that kind of like small to medium size business? Do you think there's any kind of business that's not particularly a good fit for this kind of application?
Maybe actually I would word it differently. It's if you don't want to invest in an extra person who's dedicated to customize this thing, there's like
it's probably a better fit for you.
Then it's a better fit for you.
Yeah,
but
cool.
if you want to invest in a company that helps you customize Salesforce or a person that helps you customize Salesforce, go ahead, do that. You know.
Yeah.
So it's more about like if you feel like you've got enough smarts to, as a project, customize this thing yourself.
Yeah.
Then use it. You know. Then
cool. That's a cool way of looking at it. So if you have the resource and the time and the capacity to implement one of the larger systems, it's going to deliver what you need. If you don't, then this is a very good alternative that can be customized on your own to do essentially those things that you need, that process management and that CRM type execution. Cool.
What I saw also is, I think that some of the larger systems, I think people misunderstand them, because when a big enterprise buys a system like Salesforce, the customization allows them to link it with their pre-existing system. So for example, say with Cisco. Cisco needs a really big CRM because so much of their client relationship is automated, and their products are it's automated within the product. So you really have to merge that code. But if you're the kind of company that, say like me, like a consultant, I don't have big online platforms that I have to manage and sync up.
Yeah.
So why do you then need such a flexible? You don't, you know.
Yeah.
So it's more about like if you're an online business that is really developing a platform that you need the API to really sync up, you might consider one of the bigger players because they're kind of built for that.
Yeah.
If you're a business that, no, I just need a CRM system. I mean I've got clients. What I have is a shop, or what I have is a factory, or what I have is it's just a physical product, but I still need some kind of like CRM to go with it. Then this is more. This is more for them.
Yeah. Cool. So then, with the integrations that you mentioned, are there any other integrations other than Gmail being kind of like a key focus of theirs? Are there some others that you've dabbled with that people would be interested in?
Yeah, it connects to other things like Slack. It through like through Zapier.
Yeah, Zapier.
It can connect to a lot of the other stuff, like through Zaps.
Accounting software and that kind of stuff. Yeah, cool. So Zapier kind of allows it to open up to a bunch of different APIs, which essentially means that it has an API developed as well that allows it to do that. So there's a potential that it could connect to a lot of different pieces of technology.
So one of the things that I've done, for example, is, I think it was new clients. So I'm creating a form. One of the things I need is, sometimes I really want to capture the client information. So my client form is going to sit on my website, but I can link it through a Zap so that it then, when people fill in their details in the website, it automatically creates a field as a new lead to follow through.
Oh, so it automatically creates the field in Streak.
In Streak.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And it literally looks like an email. It's kind of like you got a new email, which is a new client, but it's already within a pipeline.
Yeah.
So it would start within the, hey, you have a new lead, you still need to follow up. So that's the stage in the pipeline.
So it's almost like the CRM is self-adapting based on data that it needs to harness. So like when you create a form, you put in custom fields instead of having to go into the CRM and then create those reciprocating custom fields. It will automatically generate them based on the fact that it's integrated with that form and it needs to put that data somewhere.
Yes and no, but you need to customize that part. But it will generate it.
Yeah.
But actually, you do it, just to be specific, you actually do it through Google Sheets.
Oh.
So the form will create rows in Google Sheets, and and each row would be a new line,
prospect or a new
prospect, something.
Oh, cool. Also, it's like fully integrated into the entire suite of Google products. Okay, cool. So the data is also harvested into Google, and it basically just is an aggregator for where the data all gets put.
Yeah.
That's
it just adds.
Cool.
It's basically a complex Excel sheet, because it can then do the whole pipeline management of it. So one of the things, the problems with Excel sheets is they're not dynamic, right? So you have something else and something happens to this person.
You have to go in and maybe type something
out,
copy and paste it to somewhere else or whatever. But this will actually automate that process.
Actually copy.
That's cool. That is cool. Very different approach. So then, what is kind of like the ballpark for putting this all together? How much does it cost to implement? And then what kind of ROIs have you seen? Whether that's efficiencies in the business, time management, return on investment.
I couldn't say right now. Like I'm so. Yeah, I couldn't say yet.
Well, how much does it cost for a user? What's the licensing
It's
work?
$50 per person when you've got a team. So it's free for individuals. Then there's $15 if you want to upgrade for some functionality that I'm not sure you need yet as an individual.
Yeah.
Then as soon as you put 2 or more people, it's $50 per person.
Oh, wow.
And then I think it's $100 if you want to do those fancy things. Like it does attempt to do those fancy things like
custom APIs.
Yes, that's $100 per person if you want to do that.
Okay.
And that's where you want to start comparing it to some of the
other bigger players. Yeah. Cool. And that's actually perfect. Like it gives a really clear understanding of where it then sits in the market and in its space. And it's actually not that expensive. It's quite affordable, especially for people who are just kind of starting out. It's a good platform potentially to get onto. What about the time to implementation? How long did it take to get it up and running?
I think 3 days for me.
Oh wow, 3 days. Cool. Yeah. That's pretty good.
Yeah, because it works like so I'll tell you. So if you know Excel, it really looks like Excel. Like it works like Excel. Looks like it's just Excel made for CRM. If you're trying to do it in Excel and it's not working for you, you probably need that extra bit that this thing adds on top. Yeah, that's all it is.
It's like what you said, like a dynamic.
Yeah, it's just
Excel
a dynamic
or automated
version.
Excel. Yeah, cool. Well, awesome. That is amazing, and thank you for sharing all that information. I think what's great about that is that alongside other CRMs we've spoken about, this really does have a unique offering that brings it back to something that people are very familiar with, in an ecosystem that people are very familiar with. So it's a great little space, I think, that they've kind of tapped into that nobody else has really played in. It was just quite cool. So I'll ask you one last question, and essentially this one's for you. There's obviously some people out there that you'd love to connect with as part of VIA and the consulting that you do. What does a typical kind of client look like for you?
For me?
Yeah.
Anybody that's struggling with strategic alignment, I'd say there's 2 parts to it. If you're a business leader and you are seeing that your team is just not efficient, they're not aligned, not yet, or you've got your vision and everybody kind of like sees a little bit of it, but you're feeling that there's a lot of conflict just from the fact that you guys all don't have the same picture in your head. I'll help you get the picture in the head. That's cool. What I do. Yeah. And then the second part to it is, through my background in consulting, I know how to develop self-awareness and trust within whole organizations. And so if you think about it, once you're strategically aligned, that means you have direction. That's really important. You also then need the trust. You need trust that we have direction, but we really trust each other. So we do that part too. Through some tools that you guys, normally you'd get your HR people saying, oh, we need to do a personality tool or whatever, but they're not really experts in it, whereas we are. So we'll bring some of that expertise and that will generate the trust. So now you have direction and trust. And the last thing you really want is people to be authentic and people to be at their best and be really self-aware, and we'll do that too. So direction, trust, and authenticity.
And essentially it builds the foundation that they can keep building and growing on, because without trust and awareness, you can't really align to that goal together and then lift each other up to build towards the goal, right? Because then everyone kind of gets what the end goal is, but everyone's almost at odds with each other, almost working against each other to build towards that goal, instead of having those real conversations that need to be had in order to lift everyone up in the same direction.
And you said it really well. It's that word, foundations. Like people say, well, let's look at our culture, our values. And I'm like, yeah, even before you do all of that, let's look at your foundations. Have you got trust? Have you got authenticity? Have you got direction? I'll help you with the foundations of the business. And it's really cool because I get to work directly with the owners on all of this. And so I've been doing that for a while and just love it. It's really exciting. I'll tell you one more thing about Streak though. One thing that I've noticed being in sales is typically CRM systems get bought. The sales team needs it. Then the operations team is the one that buys the CRM system, or sometimes, and it's up to operations to kind of implement it. Whereas the real customers of a CRM system is the sales people, is the sales force, And one of the things that I have seen with Streak that I know you have to pay more in the bigger players to get, is just how simple it is as a salesperson. Like they've actually thought about, hey, in the actual app that you get on your phone, let's put in there the functionality that a salesperson needs. Not that an operations because the operations person, they're already in the computer. And so like when you download the Salesforce app or the HubSpot app, they still are thinking it's for the operations person, but the operations person never uses the app. It's the sales people that use the app. And so one thing that I've noticed with the Streak app versus the other ones is how it's really made for the salesperson. And as a salesperson, I really missed that when I was working with Salesforce. I was like, who designed this? I'm like, it doesn't allow me, like as a salesperson, you want to call and then you want to make a note on the call you just had. Well, I couldn't do that. And it was like, the moment I opened Streak and I clicked on the number and I called someone, guess what pops up? Hey, do you want to make a note on this phone call? I'm like, yes, thank you very much. That's exactly what I want right now. So they thought the app is for the sales people, the online functionality, the laptop functionality, well, that maybe is more for ops. So they've done a good job of that. I thought it would be common sense, but I didn't see it being so common sense with the other guys.
Yeah, cool. Very cool. Well, awesome, man. Thank you very much for sharing all that information, both about Via and about Streak. I think it's a nice little one to throw into the mix with all the other CRM players. What I'll do is we're obviously going to share this. We're going to put together a blog. I'll share Jesus's contact details if you do want to reach out to him, if you want to ask about Streak or you want to ask more about Via and what they do in that kind of leadership and consulting space. And then feel free to like, comment, and share this information. And hopefully you find it of a lot of value. Thank you, Jesus, for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Absolute pleasure, man.
Nice to meet you all.